Hello and welcome to another edition of Great Britain Voice of London show with me, Ian Pelham-Turner.
And me, Helena Shard.
Well, we've got some more great stories for you today. Let's roll the trailer and let's get on with the show.
So we've got some great snippets of news. I think I'm going to start by saying that we have seen some remarkable humanity recently. So we have a few lovely stories, but I think the thing that everyone's talking about at the moment is really Boris Johnson is battling for his political career because the Partygate report has come out. And things are not looking good. We've seen loads of photographs of them all having their Friday afternoon drinks on days they shouldn't have been doing when it was lockdown. And apparently it's a common thing that every Friday at 4 o'clock, an email sent out and everyone comes along and they just drink. It sounds very much like university life to me, Ian. What do you think?
I think he should go. He's been the
Yes.
worst Prime Minister I think I've ever seen in 56 years of journalism. I've lived through many prime ministers. I think the reality, he's brought the country down. He's a disgrace to this country. The whole being of him at the moment just says that he only cares about himself, and in no way at all does he worry about anyone else. He's quite willing to throw everybody under a bus right now just to save his own political career. And I think the reality at the moment is the British people have seen through him, the voters will see through him, the Conservative Party, who are afraid to get rid of him because they are afraid of losing their seats at the same time, will eventually get rid of him. My prediction is he will go.
Hear, hear. I mean, this kind of behaviour is going to cause riots. You know, we're going to see some awful situations. But I think more importantly, you know, we what's going on with the police? You know, everyone's like wanting to know. Sadiq Khan has launched this inquiry. We need to know why the police didn't make fines that they should have made. It's one rule for one rule for another. I mean, lots of people don't trust the police. Again, this takes us on a bit of a downward spiral. So there needs to be a culture shake-up. And I think, you know, we could go on speaking about this, but it's very simple, isn't it? As you say, needs to go.
Absolutely. I mean, I think the police in this case have somehow been either swerved around, dodged around, have been worried about their own positions. I think the police should have at least given him at least 2 more fines and probably a lot more. The reality is this Prime Minister is probably the worst Prime Minister, and it should have been coming out a lot heavier and harder than it has done. And obviously with Sadiq Khan, who is the Mayor of London, now asking the police, where are the other fines? Where are the times when you know that Boris Johnson was there? You know that he was raising a glass of alcohol. You know that he was in party spirit, because according to what programs are coming out at the moment, allegedly he almost wanted it to happen. This is the time for the British public to decide. Do they want a Prime Minister who is going to lead them through a recession? Because that's where we're going towards at the moment, in a very bad way. Or do we want a Prime Minister who really will value the high honour of being a Prime Minister?
So leaders need to take responsibility. Moving on, and it's something that is hardly surprising. As we know, households are in, well, I think 20% of households at the moment are in fuel poverty, set to move on to 40% in October. There's been lots of talks about what's going to happen, lots of stories on the news where people are not being able to eat, not able to feed their children, to have showers. I mean, it really has got out of hand, and surprise, surprise, there's talk of a windfall tax. We're going to find out something tomorrow. It will be a temporary thing, but how do we make sure that this money, if it comes, goes to the right people? Is it going to be, indicative of universal credit benefits? Is it going to work with the tax credit system, or is it going to be a general amount of money that goes out to every person? Because it seems council tax wise, there is an amount that's been paid out to help people with their fuel. But, not everybody needs help, and it has to go to the right people. So let's just see what's said tomorrow.
Absolutely. All it is just trying to blindside today's Partygate and Sue Gray report. That's all it is there for. It's another very, very, very cynical means by this government of trying to extricate themselves from this terrible situation they've got themselves in the first place. What could they do? They could reduce back to 17.5% or 15% the cost of gas and electricity again, as was happening before. That would be one way of actually sort of reducing the cost. Yes, it goes to everyone, but at least it gets to people. With universal credits, the £20 a week that was taken away should be reinstated as well, because they are the people in food and fuel poverty a lot of the time and are choosing between heat or eat. And so really, when I look at this government and when I look at what's going on at the moment, this to me appears to be the uncaring government, the uncaring Conservative Party. And I think in reality, change is needed, and let's hope in time that the Conservative Party really start to look at their own implications of having this terrible Prime Minister as the leader and as the one who's going to lead them out of a situation, and really get over the fallacy that he was the one that got Brexit done. No, he hasn't, because now we're going to go back to a situation at the moment where we could be asking for Article 16, which will pull us out of the whole agreement once more. And we could be heading towards a trade war at the same time as we're heading towards a recession. Well done, Prime Minister.
Moving on from politics. So everyone's revving up for the Platinum Jubilee, the Queen's 70 years on the throne. So we're all celebrating our Queen Elizabeth. And we saw her last week, which was lovely, when she turned up to Paddington Station to see the Elizabeth line, which obviously has been named the Elizabeth line in honour of Her Majesty. It was great seeing her turn up, looking lovely in bright yellow. Everyone was excited to see her. It was only a quick visit, but we always love seeing Her Majesty the Queen. And yesterday, it officially opened. So 6:30 in the morning, thousands of people all queued up to get on the train. In fact, they were there earlier than 6:30. Queued up to get on the first train that ran, and everyone was wowed about how huge Paddington Station is there on the Elizabeth line. It's like walking through cathedrals and spacious air-conditioned trains. I mean, it's great. It's going to bring in a huge amount of money, 42 billion. I know it cost 19 billion, but if it's going to bring in a huge amount of money, that is good. And of course, not to forget that it did give 70,000 jobs during the build. I think something like 200 million passengers per year will be using it, and I'm quite excited to use it. It's going to really, I think, speed things up, and it's obviously very good for our financial centre. That's what I'm most excited about.
And I think the reality as well, with what the head of TfL, Transport for London, was talking about, he was really saying that this is a railway for the next 150 years, and that the architecture within some of these stations as well is incredible. It has really been chosen to work with the local communities and the local architecture as well at the same time. So well done that we've actually got this done. Who's moaning at the moment? Well, the north of England is moaning because they haven't got their one from Manchester through to Leeds in a similar way. So the levelling up at the moment is going to be an interesting situation as well. But at least we have achieved something, and just before the Queen's special week that we will be celebrating as well next week.
Yeah, absolutely. A lovely story I'm going to move on to. So the Seaward Hotel in Weston-super-Mare has actually closed down for tourists, but has welcomed 100 Ukrainian refugees. I love this. It's a fantastic story. And Nitsa Michael, who is Greek, she's 84 years old. She has run that hotel, owned it and run it for 60 years. Amazing. She should be getting an award, I think. And now she's actually, with her daughter, is overseeing, obviously looking after 100 people, but also looking for, doctors and help and schools, and just generally wanting to make it a really nice, almost like a party feel for everybody. And the thing that I think is poignant is she came over in the 60s. Her family had to flee in 1974 when Turkey invaded, so North Cyprus invaded south. And she knows exactly what it's like just to leave with nothing, because all these people, her family, they thought they were going to go home the next day. And here we are, all these years later. So how lovely is that?
I think so. And obviously, as we all agree, that we all know Ukrainians who have fled the country and have got all sorts of stories about the experiences that they've seen. I think one of the things that always gets to me, obviously the parents and the grandparents who have lost their homes for many years, but it's also the faces of children as well, and the bewilderment on the faces of Ukrainian children wondering what is going on, and how the parents have tried to shield, the sounds of battles and bombs, and really the carnage that has been happening in that country at the same time.
Also, we've spoken recently about Dame Deborah James.
Yes.
What an amazing woman. In 2016, she got bowel cancer, and from there has had a real fight. But she's given so much to so many people, so much spirit. She's taught people really, live your life like it's the end. Don't hold back. Has really helped people in, checking themselves for bowel cancer, and done so much more. And recently we saw her, Prince William saw her, that's right, and took, she's got a damehood, so she's actually Dame Deborah James. A new rose has come out as well, so the Dame Deborah James rose. And there's a beautiful picture of her with this rose. I just think it's so exciting. And the lovely thing about it, she really does hope that her daughter Eloise, in later life, when she gets married, will use those roses in her bouquets, which I thought was very, very sweet. Also, the rose is going to be sold at the Chelsea Flower Show, which is on at the moment. But I think she's a really special lady, isn't she? And we know that she's obviously come to the end of her life.
I think... And she's still hanging on. That's the part of it. And a charity that she started that she hoped to raise $250,000 for. I think you're now saying to me that she's raised over 7 million or near 7 million.
She's near 7 million, yeah.
And I think yes, I mean, your heart goes out to the family as well, because even in the state she's in right now, she looks stunning. And there was this lovely story about her the other day where it was raining the other day, and it always rains in Britain. And she said, I want to sit out in the rain because this may be the last time I feel rain. And it's all those experiences that the family can remember now, and Britain can remember now, of such a brave woman.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And just remember, so her fund is Bowel Babe. That's what she's known to on social media. So it's the Bowel Babe fund that everyone can still donate to, nearly approaching 7 million. So it's basically in support of Cancer Research UK, and all the funds, along with cancer research, are going to be given to projects close to Deborah's heart. A lot of it is about funding clinical trials and research, and just generally raising awareness. So, our heart goes out to Deborah. And also, obviously, as we mentioned, the Chelsea Flower Show is open. I absolutely love Chelsea Flower Show. It's one of my favourites. I wait for it every year. And Her Majesty the Queen, we weren't too sure whether she turned up, and she did. She turned up to press day. It was so lovely to see her. And I think what was so great is how she's so great at conversation, because normally when we see her smiling and chatting, but I could hear her chatting away, absolutely loving it. And she turned up, she was wearing beautiful pink, looked absolutely stunning, in her electric golf buggy, which hopefully you've seen now, Ian, because I know you were waiting to see it. And she was driven around by a chauffeur in a peaked hat. Apparently she's been to 50 of these Chelsea Flower Shows, and I think she was wearing Stuart Parvin pink lemonade, which is a lovely coat and a silk ivory dress. I just love the way, again, how Her Majesty always looks immaculate. And she was just chatting away and laughing. She was speaking to all the gardeners that have got the most amazing gardens. A lot of it is to do to help promote positive mental health and well-being. And I think there's one of the gardens that one is the Wilding Garden. But the most spectacular thing for me as well is that somebody, I'm not too sure who made it, made a fabulous face out of 70 earthenware pots. It was like a profile of Her Majesty's face, with her favourite flower, which is Lily of the Valley, in each of the pots. And it looked absolutely stunning. And every single garden there had a nod to Her Majesty. And she really did chat with everyone. Again, everyone was excited just to talk about. It was just refreshing. And I think a lot of the gardens as well were talking about introducing a more diverse Chelsea Flower Show, which they definitely have done. So I absolutely love it. I don't know if you do love it as much as me.
I mean, it's I'm obviously always interested in things that you're interested in, and I think at the moment it was. The thing I would say is that the Queen looks more mobile than it's been put out that she has been recently. Okay, she's got the golf bug, but she appears to be walking, obviously with the aid of a stick, but it doesn't appear to be such a problem for her as well.
Yeah.
So,
I think we have an idea now of the type of events that she will turn up to and the ones she won't, which is quite understandable, isn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Also, something that's close to my heart, at the moment, children's mental health is in crisis. It's rocketed, cases have rocketed to a huge high. We've got over 400,000 children and young people per month being treated for mental health challenges in the UK. It's relentless, it's unsustainable, and it's basically overwhelming the NHS. When I say young people, it's under 18-year-olds. And there's also the crisis in that lots of people are deemed not ill enough, so they're being denied help. So although we have these figures aren't true. And I think a lot of, we have to start thinking about preventative measures rather than, once people have challenges, how we can reduce and help with all therapies, talking therapies. And recently, myself and Ian as well, we've been speaking to Drew Patterson, and it's something because I didn't know so much about it, and I found it intriguing. It's a game called futsal, which is similar to football, but it's like five-a-side football, and there's a futsalers community. It originated roughly 90 years ago in Uruguay, and now hopefully is going to take off here because it's in places, I'm trying to think, in Brazil and places like that, it's popular. So it's like five-a-side football. You can start playing and be involved from the age of 6. I think probably going upwards, but I'd say 6 to roughly 24. And it's amazing because obviously it's not tactile. It's a small ball that you use, which is like a fairly softer, smaller ball, so easier to use. And I just think it's amazing because you really do have to navigate. It's resilience building, and I think it keeps you fit, gets your adrenaline running, and from an early age, if everyone started doing that, I was thinking about my friend's daughter who's 13 roughly, and who could benefit with it. I think it will help. It would absolutely help. I don't think from a mental health point of view we'd be in such a crisis. So there we go. Watch out, footballers is on its way into our community in big way.
Excellent. And Drew is to be admired. He's a magistrate as well, and I know he cares very much about it. He works with the Football Association in London at the same time, and his heart is very much to actually support young people from all communities, really across the country, but initially in London as well. So well done him.
Absolutely. And just one other thing. Obviously, it's a diverse sport, but it's also absolutely as many women, or even more women, girls, can be involved in the sport, which I think is fabulous, and
Absolutely.
will be getting medals and things. I think moving on, I think probably we'll end on this one, which I found quite funny. So there is a YouTuber who did a prank on people, and people were travelling on an aeroplane into Gatwick, and they suddenly looked out the window and it said in huge, great big letters, "Welcome to Luton." Everyone panicked, thinking, oh my goodness, I've left my car in Gatwick, what am I going to do? And it was YouTube prankster Max Fox, who apologised, said sorry if anyone's been seriously thrown, but it was just one of those things. He obviously makes money on all his social media, and although it cost him a bit of money, people saw the funny side of it, and I think it's still there, actually. So state of panic over. It was just Max Fosh having fun.
Well, there you go. I think I don't know whether we're going to show that video, or we're just going to sort of, sometimes confusion can happen, obviously, and as you know, I mean, as international airports are coming back into their own again, then anything that's confusing is just going to add to the tension, I think, as well. So I hope that once he's made his money, he's been heavily taxed on this, and and hopefully the government and the taxman can have the last laugh.
I know. I think he's got off it completely scot-free. I think everyone saw the funny side. It's something like 60 metres, so he really must have tried very hard. Well, he made it, didn't he? He absolutely made it.
Okay.
I think we should just, obviously everyone's running into the Jubilee, because the Jubilee's coming up. The celebrations begin, well, they have begun, but the 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th. And really hoping that everyone has a lovely time and has garden parties and is going to celebrate along with us.
Yeah. So that's us, I think, for today, and for the start and end of this current series at the moment. And I hope you've enjoyed it. We've tried to supply as much support for the Albanian community, also to bring you the latest news, but also really to highlight the values of good causes and charities at the same time.
It's just always so heartening, isn't it, to talk about such special people who have done so much good maybe in society, and also the charities. I mean, lovely to be able to give people a platform. And to know there's so many great people, great humanity, I know we've got these naughty politicians and things going on around us, but it's so important. It sounds a little bit glib in a way, but I think it's so important to be kind, isn't it? It's so important to be kind. And I think
that's going to be our philosophy. So we wish you all good luck, all our viewers good luck. We hope to see you again before too long. So from me, Ian Pelham-Turner.
And from me, Helena Shard.
This was the ALB UK television show. Goodbye and good luck. Take care.
Bye.